All right, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today for another great edition of our educational webinar series. Today, we are very pleased and honored to welcome in Adrian Smude with us today to cover investing in mobile homes, something that, especially with the incredibly inflated prices of housing in today's market, whether you're looking at multifamily, single family, dirt, or anything in between, really kind of the last bastion of affordable prices for real estate. And obviously, affordability is always going to be a subjective number, but really kind of a great place to find deals and how to do that, at least with Adrian's metrics, are going to be an awesome thing to look at today. A little bit about myself as the presenter before I turn it over directly to Adrian. My name is Alex Perny. I've been with Advanta since about 2012. So if anyone here has any questions specific to investing in these types of assets through self-directed IRA plans, whether you have a Roth IRA, traditional IRA, SEP simple, HSA, or anything under the sun, and you'd like to utilize that to do this type of investing without paying any taxes, let me know. I'm always happy to help. My number and contact information is up there on the screen for you. With that said, we just need to read a quick disclaimer so everyone knows kind of where we stand on this. Advanta IRA and our employees, we do not provide investment or legal advice, nor do we endorse or promote any investment products. All information and materials are for educational purposes only, and all parties are encouraged to consult with their attorneys, accountants, and financial advisors before entering into any type of investment. So with making our legal and corporate overlords happy, I'd like to turn it over to Adrian Smude, who's a 16-year veteran of investing in real estate and more specifically mobile and manufactured homes within the Central Florida area over in the Lakeland, Tampa Bay area. So I'll give it over to him and let him give you some great pieces of advice on how to do this stuff and do it effectively. So with that said, Adrian, take it away.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate you and Advanta having me here today. And I'm going to try to advance the slide.
Just one moment. Let me just open up the
Okay.
chat box so I can monitor that as a pop out, and then I'll turn it fully over to you.
And I appreciate you monitoring that. I want to encourage people to ask questions. This is a lot more fun for me, selfishly, if you ask questions. But more importantly, you are going to get a lot more out of today if you interact, ask questions, because then I can kind of go the direction that you are wanting to learn instead of me sticking exactly to what the slides say. So ask questions, interact, you'll understand more, and you'll be able to take better action.
Great, awesome. So you're all set. Take it away. I got the chat box in front of me where I need it.
Perfect. Let's see. And there we go. All right, perfect. I want to quickly talk about my brand, Lifestyle REI. What is it? What is my mission? So my mission with Lifestyle REI is to pass on the information and education I have learned from my mentors and the information I've learned through the hard way, through my failures, and through my successes. And then lastly, it is my platform to my platform for my friends that run successful real estate businesses to come in, teach, speak, and then they can go back and do the piece of the business they really love. So today we're going to cover why mobile homes. I'm going to talk about my journey, and I want you to learn from it. I'm sure there's something relatable. I have a fun, wild, kind of crazy journey. I could probably speak for hours on that. 3 types of mobile home investing, marketing, financing, and then we're going to put it all together with a fun case study at the end. Let's move on to why mobile homes. I don't want to click too many times. All right, is there a lag? There we go. All right, so why would you sell a nice home like this? Normally I would poll the whole group and ask who asked this question. So if you do not know who this is, it is Peter Fortunato. I'm going to assume at least a few of you on the line know that name already because he is a friend of Advanta IRA, and I'm sure he's even spoken on here. Actually, I know he's been on the podcast. But why does Peter Fortunato always ask this question? Because we are problem solvers as real estate investors. And if we don't know the true reason someone is selling, we can't help them. We can't give them all the options they need. So why would I sell a nice home like this? It appraised for about $200,000 It had good bank financing, and most importantly, it cash flowed. So why would I sell a nice home like this? If you're able to put it in the chat, as long as you're not driving, if you're watching this somewhere that's safe to put in the chat, give me some ideas. Why would I sell a nice home like this? Why do you think I would do that? This is a beautiful corner lot home that cash flows. Do we have any participation today,
Uh,
Alex?
so sorry, I pulled up the wrong portion of the chat. Someone said emergency cash needed. Another person said hard to find good tenants.
Okay, those could be some reasons, but those are not the actual reason I sold this home. I sold it for the topic of the day, to buy mobile homes. In particular, I bought, having trouble moving slides. There we go. I bought these 7 mobile homes with the dirt. So I did a 1031 exchange. The very short on a 1031 exchange is I'm going to pay those taxes at a later date, deferring the taxes. So I bought these 7 with the dirt. This is a homeland package. And then I had what I spent on all of them, $174,000. So if you did your math real quick on a calculator, you probably came up with, I didn't spend all the money on these homes because I believe in taking a little bit of the money and enjoying it. So enjoying our journey, not just snowballing every little dime that we get right back into the business. Did I do that at times? Yes. But I encourage you as soon as you can to start taking at least a little bit, go to a nice dinner, do something to reward yourself, because that's really what we're doing with all the real estate. That's our plan. And then I had to spend some money on rehab. To rehab all 7 of these, including the one that came with a dumpster in the front yard, it cost me about $50,000. That's not still the reason that I sold that one beautiful corner lot to buy these 7. The real reason is the new net cash flow is $3,300 a month. So I went from about $4,600 a year to almost $40,000 a year. That's 857% more cash flow. The cash flow is one of the reasons that I invest in mobile homes, and I believe you should as well. So real quickly about me, I grew up in Plant City, Florida. So that's in between Tampa and Orlando. We are the winter strawberry capital of the world. And I grew up, I believe, like most of you, where I had parents, family that loved me, wanted us to have the best childhood possible, and they gave us that. Now, my brothers and I were not spoiled, but I think we had a lot of good, nice things. We went on vacations, and we had a good childhood. But when I was 8 or 9 years old, I heard some loud voices coming from my parents' bedroom, so I quietly crawled over there and put my ear to the door, and I was listening in, and the conversation was not good. It was about money. And again, we had what we thought would be a good childhood. Our parents, I wouldn't say hid, but did not let us feel the negative effects of money. Later found out that we had a stack of credit cards about an inch tall that were all maxed out. And one night at dinner, our parents told us that we are filing bankruptcy. And this is embarrassing to the point where my mom still does not say the word bankruptcy. She calls it the B. Because they raised us to have high integrity. And when we said we were going to pay those bills, and we didn't, so we compromised our integrity. You'll see how this stuck with me later in my journey. But I ended up moving out because, time goes on if we like it or not. And I became a tenant with some friends in Brandon area, so not that far. We didn't go very far. And the short there is we were terrible tenants. These are a few of our eviction notices. Now, landlords, have you had to evict tenants for parties, in particular like spaghetti wrestling parties, maybe mud wrestling party, or pudding wrestling parties? And we even have one right in the middle there that's highlighted for parking a motorcycle in the living room. Again, you do not rent to 20-year-old Adrian. So for the non-local to Central Florida people on the line, why would we park a motorcycle? Sorry, why would my friend park a motorcycle in the living room? That one was not me. The parties might have been. If you haven't been to Florida in the winter, in the morning, you don't know how our winter mornings are, because it can get cold. I'm talking like 45, maybe 40 degrees. And I'm not making this up. That's why my friend did not want to park his motorcycle outside. He parked it in the living room so he didn't have to wait for it to warm up. I told you we were not good tenants. But what did I do because of all this? I bought a house. I'm a problem solver. And that's why I bought a house. Oh, can go back one slide. I don't know how to go. I think there's a lag there. So I bought a house, the one that was just up on the screen. And what I do next, I move my friends in, the same friends that helped me get evicted. And then I charge them my mortgage. I divided my mortgage up amongst my friends, and I lived for free, which was really cool. Time went on. I said, I want to do this again. So I went to the bank and I bought another house. But this time, I was losing a little bit every month. The banks told me it's okay. Real estate goes straight up. You can just refinance it in a few years. When a few years, the value of the house was going down. And at the same time, I'm not sure if I mentioned, I had an adjustable rate mortgage. So that meant I went from losing a little bit every month to a little bit more every month. And after a few years of this, I gave up. I gave the house up as a short sale. It was a ding to my credit, a ding to my ego, but it was embarrassing. It looped back just like my parents' bankruptcy because I compromised my integrity. At the same time, I hadn't worked for about 6 months. I was in marketing, and big companies cut marketing pretty fast in a recession. But at the time of all of this bad going on, it's when I learned the value and why real estate is so awesome. Because this house right here on the screen, I didn't lose that house. I bought it right, and I was renting it right. My tenants, my friends, they were paying my mortgage. So years later, I decided I got to get back in. That's when I stumbled into a RIA. Polk County RIA is one of the main RIAs I stumbled into. That's one of the ways I know Alex. Alex is even a sponsor over there. And while I was there, that's when I learned about mobile homes. And I found this mobile home. How did I find it? I'm at the RIA, made friends, because I fell in love with all the networking there, the educational speakers like myself, and I just kept going. And Jessica is one of the girls I met there, and she said, my broker has someone that needs to sell their mobile home. Would you like to look at it? So I went and looked at this beautiful 1965. Did I know what to look for? Not really. I was scared, but I was also uncomfortable being comfortable. Meaning, I had a pretty decent life, but I knew there was more. I wanted more freedom to travel, more freedom to help more people, more freedom to be with friends and families that I love. So that's why I spent essentially the rest of my savings and bought this for $16,000. Of course, I had a few problems, but quickly I was able to put a for rent sign, and I rented it for $475 a month. You don't need to learn a financial calculator to realize that's good enough, those numbers. So what do I do next? I went and bought more homes, more mobile homes, because I realized I stumbled into this gold mine. I got asked to speak at PC RIA. Quick fun story is that disclaimer that Alex read at the beginning. Our disclaimer was longer and more boring, and I had to read that in front of the club every meeting. And looking back, Liz, that runs the meeting, would remind me how I was physically shaking while reading it. I was not a good speaker whatsoever, but she kept pushing me to, because she's wanted me to be able to teach what I was doing. So I spoke locally some, and I realized I really like teaching what I'm doing. And then that is when I decided to write a book. I wrote a book, How to Buy Mobile Homes, in order to get more information out there faster. What has the mobile homes with the land, what has that really gotten me? It's given me the freedom to be where I want, when I want, with who I want. That's what I'm really getting out of owning these mobile homes and renting them out. Now, I want to quickly give away, if I can get this to work, I'm going to give away a book. So if you go to this website, scan the QR code, so it's adrians360.com, and I'm going to quickly do it with you because this is something new I'm trying out, so everyone can help me if I don't do it well, but I want to find a way to give away books. I'm going to mail it to you. So go there. You just have to clear out that first page. So adrians360.com, that little splash page that jumps up. Ignore the events, book, everything that's there, and click on Contact. Scroll down, hit Save Contact, and then you save my contact. And then text me your name. So text me your name, and the number 2 person that texts me, I'm going to give you my book. I'll mail it to you. I'll text you back later asking for your address to mail you a copy. So hopefully that's coming through and no one's messaging you. All right, we have someone that just said hello, Adrian Smude. So that was number 1. So I don't know who that was, but number 2 is Jocinda. Hopefully I pronounced your name right. So I will text you back a little bit later and get your address from you and mail you a copy of my book. I appreciate you, everyone, helping me with that. If you did not like that, you can also text me saying, hey, that didn't work. That wasn't easy, because I'm trying to find a way to give out my book. All right. I want some interaction here. Put it in the chat. Tell me which one is the trailer, which one's the mobile home, and which one is the manufactured home. Just put it into the chat. Which one you think is the manufactured home, mobile home, and trailer?
Let's see, someone says they all are. Well, that's partially true, Jason.
Yeah, Jason.
Someone says manufactured is on the right, manufactured home is on the right, camper on the left, mobile in the middle, manufactured on the right. I know the answer to this, but I will certainly let Adrian do it because it's a good answer, and it's one that I like to spit out there whenever someone says. And let's see, someone also said all are mobile homes, and then someone says mobile in the middle. So what they're all kind of batting around it. So why don't you give them the lowdown on that, Adrian?
Yeah. So yeah, some of you are probably technically right, but as Alex alluded to, my answer is it depends. If I am buying, they're all going to be trailers. I don't care what year it is, because trailer kind of brings the perceived value down. It sounds cheaper, and I'm buying, so I want to pay less. But if I'm selling or renting, they're all going to be manufactured homes, because I want to bring the value up, the perceived value. I want to charge maybe a little bit more, because our words matter. No matter what we're doing, we need to use the right language. I know some of you are on here probably a little scared, stressed, overwhelmed of the idea of investing in a mobile home, or maybe even a trailer, a camper, I don't remember who called that yellow one a camper. By the end of today, my goal is you're going to be a little less stressed or overwhelmed with the idea. And a shameless plug, people that come to my classes are not overwhelmed at all. They have confidence in investing in them. So let's talk about the 3 different types of investing in mobile homes. You can own just the home. So this is typically in a mobile home park, and you pay lot rent. Some parts of the country, they call it space rent. So you own only the aluminum box, or if you're fancy, you call it an aluminum castle. And you pay someone every single month to park it there. Now, these are really good ROI, return on investment. They're recession resistant. But I don't absolutely love them, and I don't have these as a major part of my business anymore because I lost control. These served me very well in my growth phase. But I'll tell you real quick of how I lost some control. On April 5th, I had 2 mobile homes inside of a park, and I got an email from the manager saying, at the end of the month, you can no longer own any homes in here that you do not live in. So what do? Do I try to fight them? Maybe I could win, maybe I couldn't. That's not where I like to put my energy. I ended up selling them. Now, I bought them right, I rented them right, and I was able to even sell them for a profit right, because I had a plan there. But I didn't like that I lost the control. In under 30 days, I was told I could no longer own these. So that is why they're not a big part of my business anymore. But if you go that direction, everything I'm going to talk about, you can utilize inside the parks. So let's talk about parks. You can own the park. There's 2 main ways to run a park. You can own everything, all the homes, land, absolutely everything. You own a flat apartment complex. Or you can own just the dirt, and people pay you that lot rent every month. Then you own a big parking lot, and you can own a combination of the 2. Mobile home parks are not currently in my vision, and that is because they require more, I'll say, government regulation. So some of my friends that own them tell me these stories that they have to have monthly inspections on septics or wells. The fire department's there every year. Some areas have even told me that they had to have a monthly inspection on the homes. Doesn't mean I wouldn't do it. I just got to get paid more if I got to do more work. And then the big parks, let's say 100 units plus, my friends that are in that space have told me they've gotten so crowded by the hedge funds that they're only making money on the syndication fees now. So if you're going to go that route, do your homework to make sure that there is enough room for you, or you're going to hunt down harder to find them. But this is also why I stick to the middle. The single unit, that can be the single wide or double wide, but a single unit with the dirt. So I own the dirt and I get to make the rules. I'm in control, and it's a single family world. These are still excellent ROI. They're recession resistant. Usually someone at this point says, yeah, but you can't finance those. Well, financing is only tricky if you don't understand it, and we're going to go over financing. But first, I want to look at a few of these mobile homes with the dirt. As you can see, some of them come with the beautiful yellow vintage countertops. Now, if you wait long enough, I think these come back in style. That's what at least I say. And that's why I use the word vintage. Remember, our words matter. It makes it sound pretty. But this home right here, it had shag carpet. So shag carpet tells me that it's original carpet, because I haven't seen anyone buying shag carpet. And if there's anyone my age or younger, so anyone in their 30s, maybe even early 40s or younger, shag carpets is like real long-haired carpet that they use even a rake to make it stand up nice and pretty. It's used in the past, like the 1960s and 70s. If it had shag carpet, it means it's still today, it means it had the original subfloor. Well, what do I know about 60s and 70s mobile homes? They have particle board subfloors. So I walked around this home and it felt very sturdy and the subfloors felt strong. But I know their subfloors are made out of particle board. Particle board, if you get it wet, it disintegrates. So I now know I need to budget to replace my subfloors. It's not expensive. It's not hard. Well, before lumber costs what's crazy, it still isn't because they've come down. It's not that expensive. It's not that hard to replace the subfloors. But if it's not my budget, it's not going to be fun when they go bad. Because when you get particle board wet, it disintegrates and falls apart. Working on a mobile home is not difficult. It's just a little different, and you got to know the small differences. Now, these, again, are great ROI and recession resistant. Why do I keep saying recession resistant? Because when we have another recession, if we're in the recession now, whatever you want to believe, we know at some point it's going to happen. Let's imagine we have a 2 household income. They're making enough to get by, maybe a few extra $100 a month, and one of them loses their job. What's going to happen? They're going to have to move down a rent level. And that's going to continue happening until we hit the affordable housing space. And most mobile homes are in the affordable housing space. So we're going to have more demand without making more supply, because we're really not making more mobiles. Very little come on the market. So that means, in theory, we can charge more rent, supply demand. But that's not my main reason for being excited and being in this space. It's because I'm going to have a larger applicant pool to find the very best applicant to not only take care of my property, but to pay rent on time. Because I am not putting myself in an opportunity, a chance, ever again, to not pay my bills. I'm not compromising my integrity again. I'm stopping that cycle that has happened in my life, and I'm not allowing it to happen. I am not telling you to sell all your homes or whatever investments you have and buy all mobile homes. I'm not going to tell you to do that. But I would like to encourage you to add some to your business so that your business is recession resistant. Hopefully that sounds good to you. Let's move on to finding them now. We have to find the mobile home, and I start here. One of my mentors, Lenny Simador, whenever I see him at a meeting, which was about twice a month, it is very hard to get through the meeting without him saying this. When you buy your home, you buy your tenant. What he means is if you buy a good home in a good area, you're probably going to get a good tenant. And the exact opposite would be true. If you're going to buy a bad home in a bad area, you're probably going to get a bad tenant. So I dug deeper here, and I went back and looked who have been my great tenants. Now I call my tenants residents, so if I interchange the words there, that's why. So who've been my great residents? Not just that pay well. I want to know who has taken care of my properties. And I have come up with, for me, it's a blue collar handyman and handywoman. That is who I get along with the best, who take care of my properties the best, and pay the best. But I know that you are stereotyping, thinking that this is the only person that could possibly live in a mobile home. You think it's all trailer trash. You think every little kid comes with his or her own tall boy natty light. And it's not true. Movies, songs, it all makes fun of trailer trash, mobile homes, but it's not the home itself. I think it's more of the quality of the home and the area is going to attract the person. But who actually lives in my homes? I told you, it's the blue collar handyman, handywoman, the painters, the contractors, the electrician, the AC guys, the construction workers, the carpenters. That is who I look to attract. So I want to find a property that they want to live in because they take pride in their homes. And they take pride in their home. It's not uncommon that I drive by a month, 2 months after they move in, and they have fixed it up. They've gardened and they've decorated to make the home their home. I have found that is who takes care of my homes the best and stays the longest. So I hope I have busted that myth that other people besides quote unquote trailer trash can live in mobile homes. So now how do we do some marketing? Well, we do everything that everyone else does. We can send letters out, bandit signs, online, postcards, everything. But there's one tiny little difference we have to do. Does anyone want to know that small little difference? It's a small one, but it makes a big difference. Anyone want to type yes or get in the chat? Does anyone want to know what that is? If not, I can just move on.
We got a few people typing question marks,
All
one
right.
yes, so I guess you go for
All
it.
right, we haven't lost them then. Perfect. The difference is you get rid of the word house and put mobile home. I told you it sounds simple and it's small, but you just have to tell people what you want to buy. You're going to get a lot more of what you want if you tell people what you want. All of this can work. I encourage you to do 6 months minimum on any type of marketing you select because that's how you know how well it works. But how do I find most of my properties? I do it by networking. I go to realtors, I go to networking events. Actually, I think it's this Friday that Advanta has theirs online. I go there and I tell people I buy mobile homes. I am like a broken record. I buy mobile homes at every meeting over and over and over again. And it never fails. Someone approaches me. Why would you buy mobile homes? They go down in value. You only have trailer trash, blah, 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 blah. They always have all this negative to say. And how do I reply? You're right. Send me all your leads. And I do it in that joking way. And they do. And I always find a way to pay people and keep them in the deal. Because if I pay you, who are you going to come talk to again? Me. And what do I want to do? I want to buy. So I love paying people. Other investors have been a fantastic lead source for me. Let's talk about realtors. Realtors get paid by the price of the home. Mobile homes typically have one less zero, so they're going to do the same amount of work for less money. I became an information source to realtors. I speak at lunch and learns. I go to lunch and learns. I go to realtor networking events. I am not licensed, and I go to continuing education for realtors. For one, I love education. Two, I am there with the doers that actually are doing business as realtors. I tell them, give me a call if I can ever help you with mobile homes. Sometimes they call me just asking for help, asking for a resource. And then sometimes they call and say, Adrian, Sally needs to sell her mobile home and I really just don't have time for it. Can you help her out? Of course I can. Again, I always want to keep the realtor in the deal because I want them to get paid to deserve it. And if they get paid, they're going to come talk to me again. So referrals are my main way. And I am always telling people what I do. Everything I do. I am always looking like a yellow highlighter. Omnipresence is one of the terms for it. Everywhere I go, and I'm having fun with this. It's my personality. I made my brand part of my personality so it doesn't feel like work. Quickly introduce you to a few people. In the middle here, I don't know if people can actually see my mouse, but there's a guy in a blue shirt, kind of spiky hair. That is Charlie. That is the guy with the motorcycle from Getting Evicted days. The top corner, I am holding a baby up in the Lion King Simba pose. That is Charlie's son, Parker. And Parker is wearing a onesie that says, my parents, friends, wife buys mobile homes. Why? Because it's fun. It's my personality that I like to have fun with my brand. And then we have a young lady right in the center holding my book. That is Miss West. That is my 4th grade teacher. When I'm in town, I go to yoga multiple days a week at the YMCA, and she's there. So I told her whenever I was writing my book, I would love for you to come to my book signing, because I just thought I was probably one of her last students that she would ever think would write a book. When I asked her that, she smiled and didn't really say no. So I'm assuming that was true. But what do I do when I want to go swimming? Because in Florida, we can do that most of the year. And I liked attention, and I told you I'm consistent with my marketing. So how do I still tell the other boaters? I made my Speedo. Because if you like it or not, you are going to remember this picture. So one picture is memorable. It costs me less time and less money to market. Now, let's quickly move on to some financing so we can get to a case study. So financing mobile homes. How would we finance this beautiful 1962 that comes with most of its siding? I'll cut to the chase. It's not a bank. The quick-on banks, the big banks, the Bank of America, Chase, and all of them, I wouldn't go to them unless it's pretty new. They typically say that they'll only go back 20 years on the age of the home. If you're going to go with a community bank or you're fixing and flipping these, go and talk to a community bank or credit union. I'll tell you right now, they're not going to go any older than 1976, June 15th. That's a special year for mobile homes. HUD got involved and made a new standard of how they have to be built. If that is your exit strategy or your buy strategy, please go sit down with the banker and get the exact requirements. I have too many people that call me at closing that it's going to fail the closing. It's not going to go through because of the bank. Find out their requirements. They all have a little bit different requirements. So how can we buy this? We're out of cash. We can use owner financing. I have found owner financing not to be that difficult in the mobile home world because a lot of the owners understand that banks don't finance them. Also, a lot of them bought with owner financing, so it's not this brand new topic to them. We need to go there and build the rapport first before we can actually get owner financing. I don't believe it works. It's never worked for me because I don't try to do it and just send them an offer cold. Owner financing. Got to go there, build rapport, ask that important question. Why would you sell a nice property like this? See, I had to change the word a little bit because the home doesn't look that nice. They know I'm lying there. But you got to go there and build that rapport. What else can we do? Because owner financing doesn't work for everyone. We can use private money. So private money and owner financing are two very important topics, and they're going to become way more important now that banks are tightening. Because as the economy gets maybe a little recession or whatever term you want to use there, banks tighten, and we got to have these other options for financing our properties. If you want the older mobile homes, you got to use these if you want the edge on people. Now, most of my financing for private money comes from people with self-directed IRAs. They want that lazy money, put it to work, and forget about it. You got to build the rapport. This is with your private money people. I'll tell you, if I got 3 deals right now, I'm an email away from funding them because I have those relationships. It's not a difficult topic of private money, but I actually think it's a very big topic because I've never funded 2 private money deals the exact same way because I'm in a different spot. My friends that are bringing the money are in a different spot. The market's at a different spot. It's a different property. So we sit down and have that conversation. So at this point, I'm sure some of you are thinking, Adrian, you got me past the myth that it's only trailer trash. I see some of the value. I see the numbers I like. You even showed me that there's some possibilities with financing, but there's no mobile homes in my area. I always get people that say that. But what I did is I went to Zillow, and I'm just going to click through. I just took some screenshots, different parts of the country, recent mobile home sales. The point I want to show you here is there are a lot of mobile homes. Usually people aren't looking for them, and that's why they don't see them in order to buy them. What I would like to encourage you to do is just keep an eye out. Be willing to look for them now. It's kind of like when you go buy that brand new car and maybe you get that nice neon yellow color and you think you're the only person with that color. And then you start seeing, maybe not tons of them, but you see them all over. Like, there's other people. There's actually a part of our brain called the reticular activating system. I can nerd out on that another day. But that is why our brain doesn't show us everything that we don't need to see. They're out there. Some markets, there are more mobile homes in the rural areas. Some, they're everywhere. Just be open to seeing them now. Now we got that myth busted. Let's look at a case study. So Cragmont, how did I find this property? You want to put in the chat, how do you think I found this property? This beautiful double wide. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Any guesses on how I would find this property?
Networking, referrals.
All right, we got people listening.
Someone came to you.
Networking. Yes. I love it. That means people are paying attention. Networking is exactly how I got this property. It was years ago at a business networking, and I needed a mobile notary. Somebody afterwards came up and said, call Rachel. And so I called Rachel. So over the years, Rachel has done lots of mobile notaries for me. And she always, before she leaves, says, Adrian, don't forget I'm also a realtor. If I can ever help you, let me know. So how do I reply? Rachel, don't forget, I buy mobile homes. If you ever have a client or need help, I can help you. So Rachel brought this person to me, the seller of this home. How did Rachel find it? Well, she's always telling everyone what she does. And she posts on her Facebook, not one time and not 15 times a day, a moderate amount. And she had a friend from high school message her and say, I know someone that needs to sell their mobile home. Can you help them? So obviously she did. What problems did we solve? Well, we can see it's overgrown. They're having a hard time keeping up. You can see the blue tarp on the roof. It is a little difficult, but there's also a brown tarp there. So we got 2 tarps, overgrown. What you can't see in the picture, it's in probate, and they want to sell now. We got some issues here. Rachel tells them, listen, I have an investor friend. He buys properties just like this. If you want, we can bring him in, see if you like his offer. If you do, we'll go with it. If not, we'll put it on the MLS and deal with everyone coming in. Obviously, they like my offer. How do we pay for it? Private money and my own money. Rehab. Everything you see on the outside, it's obvious. The inside wasn't that bad. I mentioned it's 2 bathrooms. We did have to work on both showers. The walls there and some flooring, but it wasn't in the very bad condition inside. And then we put it for rent. We ended up renting it in December for $1,610 a month. And it rented before Christmas because there's demand. Now let's look at the numbers. I purchased this for $83,500. At this time, this is the most I had ever paid by double, actually over double, for a mobile home. But I wasn't nervous or scared because I had a proven system to follow to buy it. Next, I had to put some money into it. So I have, in total, there is $105,600 in it. That's the total dollars in the home and land. And then I borrowed some private money. I borrowed $70,000. So how much money do I have in it? How much does Adrian have? I have 35,600. I'm going to stop right here for a second. Could I have less money in it? Yes. I could have borrowed more money. But at this time, I had some cash, and I decided to put it to work. If it was 3 years earlier, I wouldn't have been able to put this money in it. I didn't have the money. So I would have either put less money in and borrowed more, or maybe I would have wholesaled it. I would have done something different. 3 years from now, I have no idea what I would do because I don't know the market. I don't know where I will be financially. So the point I want to get across here is I make my decision based on where I am at that time. My goal is not to have $0 in a property. My goal is to make the best situation for the seller and for me to be profitable. And that's how I ended up with this. Oh, did you have a question, Alex?
No, I think it was
Okay.
just a little bit of pop of mind.
Okay. How much are we making a month? We're making $795 a month after taxes, insurance, repairs, any fees like that, property management. $795 net a month. That means every single month I have predictable income of $800 coming in. $800 of predictable income every single month. And what is that making me? So my $35,600 is making me a 26% return. Is that a good return on investment? I think so. We can compare it to the stock market. The stock market makes 8% over the long term, not this year, but over the very long term. Why do we want a high rate of return? Because it gets us to our goals faster. The goals that I believe most of us have: to travel more, to be with our loved ones, to help more people. And then the icing on the cake on this property is I have equity. So I bought it right, I'm renting it right, and if I want to sell it, I can sell it right. The two main things I want you to get from this case study is large chunks of money that are predictable every single month and a high cash on cash return, which gets us to our goals faster. That's what I got out of this deal. Now, what does all this mean? That mobile homes rock. They allow us to be where you want, when you want, with who you want. And I call that lifestyle freedom. A little secret is I'm not just here trying to get you to invest in mobile homes. I'm really wanting to pass on something much more important. It's the freedom that mobile home investing allows you to have. The freedom of the time, the freedom to do and control what you do. And now it's time to take action. Hopefully you're on here every single month with a different education. And you got to take something from it and take action with it. If not, you're just an attendee on here. You got to take something from every time you hear someone speak and utilize it. So a few of my favorite quotes with taking action are: the price of inaction is far greater than the cost of making a mistake. Essentially, if you're not taking action, it's going to be really hard to get closer to your goals. Every successful person that I follow, they take a little bit of action and they stumble and they get right back up. They take some more action going forward. Maybe they fail forward, they get back up, and they keep doing that over and over and over again. There's a great book on that topic by John Maxwell, Failing Forward. Next quote: where you are a year from now is a reflection of the choices you make today. As long as you're not driving, if you can just stop taking notes for a second and maybe even close your eyes and think of a year from now. You've bought a few mobile homes, you increase your cash flow, maybe you've dropped down to part-time work, Maybe you've quit altogether. Or maybe you're just doing a few less rehabs. Essentially, you have more time control. We get off the webinar in a few minutes. You check your phone, and you have a text message from one of your friends that says, I know it's last minute, but can you go to lunch with me tomorrow? It's my birthday. Well, if you control your time, you can say yes. Let's say you spend $100 on that lunch. You can budget that $100 pretty quick. Maybe same day it's already in the budget, or maybe it's a few weeks. But you can get that $100 relatively quick. The time, unless you make the decisions today for the future, it takes longer to be able to control your time. I'll tell you that that day meant much more than $100 to me, to be able to be there with my friend. And my friend Morgan, I know it meant more than $100 to her because no one else could show up. You can achieve this too, to be able to control your time, to be there with a friend last minute. If you did close your eyes, you want to open them up, and let's look at the last quote by one of my coaches, Ken Holmes. Your action proves your faith. If you are not taking action, you're essentially saying you don't believe it's possible for yourself. And that's not true. I mean, I don't know a better way to word it. It's just not true. The old saying, if I can do it, so can you. It is very true right here. I mentioned I wrote a book last year. Well, also, I was in remedial classes all through school. And last year, I found out I'm dyslexic. So if a dyslexic guy can write a book and a dyslexic guy can buy mobile homes, you can do it too. The old saying, if I can do it, so can you. It's true here. Well, I hope you've learned a lot today. I have an offer here at the end. If you are interested in learning more about mobile homes, just stay with me for a few more minutes. If not, I will see you on Friday at the... Sorry, I'm trying to click through. If not, you can go ahead and I'll see you Friday at the Advanta's social hour. I think it's at noon. But if you want to learn more, cashing in on mobile homes, this is a class I teach every year. The very first thing we're going to do is bust your myths. We did a little bit of that today, but we got to get rid of all of those myths so we can install all the new great information. You are going to leave no longer fearing the 1960s and 70s. We're going to talk much deeper about financing strategies without banks. And I'll tell you, these strategies are the same strategies I know people using for a $2,000 mobile home or a $2 million storage facility all over the country. These strategies work for everything. And then insuring mobile homes and much more. Basically, I'm going to take my almost 20 years of experience and pack it into these 2 days. So that is half of it. The other half, I'm bringing in my friend Mark Bracey. Mark Bracey lives in Jacksonville, Florida, and he does own some rentals, but a lot of his business is fix and flipping. Why do I bring him in? Because he is the best mobile home fix and flipper I've ever met. He has done over 130 of these in his time. He started out as a contractor working on them. Now he's the investor that hires the contractor to work on them. One of the things that makes Mark special is he's not the fix and flipper that spends 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a week in the business. He spends a lot of time with his two beautiful daughters, quality and quantity time. He goes fishing, he goes on vacations. That is someone that I want to bring in to teach not only the business side, but the lifestyle of it. What is he going to do? The A to Z to fix and flipping. We're going to go over the walkthroughs, the repair calculations. And a few weeks ago, I was calling up students from the previous year asking, what they really liked, what they've used, just polling people so we can make the class better every year. And Jimmy said, I really liked how hands-on the walkthrough was. I was kind of scratching my head, like, we didn't leave classroom. I didn't bring anything in. We just had slides. So I questioned him more. And he said because the slides felt very hands-on and they had good pictures and we really walked through it. So we're keeping that. I found that to be a really good compliment. And going back to the repairs, we can use the analogy of mechanics. If we have a car and we can call that the house, and we have a motorcycle and we'll call that the mobile home. They're very similar how you work on them, but they are different, and you got to know those differences in order to be profitable. Contracts, documents, we're going to give you everything, and we're giving you everything so that when you leave, you can go and make your money and you keep all of that. You don't just give it back. You get to keep all of it. And the confidence to take action. Just like Marquise did, he came to class, he did that networking thing I talk a lot about, and he met someone in class, and in under a year, they've done some stuff together, and they've made anywhere from $21,000 to $27,000 each just by coming to class and taking action. Now, before I got, here's the details here. Let me give you those first. I got another story after that. October 8th and 9th, Tampa, Florida, or in your cozy home on Zoom. Not a sales pitch class. You don't come and learn, and then we just upsell you to be able to get the rest of the information. We're giving you everything you need to take action afterwards. It's a 100% money back guarantee. If you don't believe we're giving the right value for the price, you give me the book back, I give you your money back. That's what I believe in. So really the question is, are you coming in person or on Zoom? But this is the story I want to tell you about. How I left $18,000 on the table. This is before I understood mobile homes. I got a lead. I didn't know what to do with it. I gave it to my friend Gavin. He's a broker, real estate agent. He's an investor. He's like, Adrian, why are you giving this to me? I'm like, you pulled a lot of comms for me. He had helped me out a lot, and I thought there wasn't any value there. Gavin bought it. Within a few weeks, he essentially doubled his money and made $18,000. By not understanding this stuff, I left $18,000 on the table. So my question is, would you pay $797 to get $18,000? I think that's a no-brainer, and that happens to be the early bird special price. So $797, bring a friend, business partner, spouse for $397. And for Advanta attendees here, I'm going to leave this open all week because I know the recording is going to go out for the people that couldn't make it. You get to bring your business partner for free. So $797 for both of you, and you'll both get a copy of my book, How to Buy Mobile Homes. It's a $1,200 savings there. Last story I want to tell you about is Kerr. She came to class. She had never fixed and flipped a mobile home. And less than a year, so what are we, 11 months later, she has done 6 fix and flips. She's in the Tampa area. She's been doing a lot more up in the Ocala area recently. But she took the information and took action with it. That's your side of it. We're going to teach you. You then have to take action. And she keeps her manual in her car as a reference. So quick recap, you're going to get a ticket for yourself, a ticket for your friend, business partner, spouse. Both of you get a copy of my book. That is a real world value of over $2,000. So for this week, it is $797. Everything you see here, and that is only for everyone that's attended this webinar, and you will go to that same site and you'll click on events, and you have to use the coupon code Advanta IRA. If not, you're not going to get that pricing. I want to thank everyone for trusting me with your education, for allowing me to be here today. And Alex, I'm not sure if we have any questions that have come up.
We definitely do. I got some good ones here. So going into the questions, got a few people asking. Let's see. So what are the typical annual maintenance costs for older mobile homes specifically? So I'm assuming the person kind of wants a little bit more of a
Yep.
depth into, like, are just, in general, are you fixing more things? Are they breaking down faster? Do they typically hold up pretty well? Or are they, and some people you might think it's like, all right, well, yeah, they're mobile homes, so maybe there's more, but they're going to be cheaper. So it all kind of works out in the end as well. So if you could touch on that a little bit.
You touched on it great. The answer is it depends, like everything in real estate. So I run really the typical numbers that everyone runs with single family. So 10% for the CapEx and for maintenance repairs. I let the property tell me how I'm going to rehab it to what level. That one that you saw on the owner financing slide that came with most of its siding, I did not put granite in that thing. I did a safe rehab that was still a little ugly. I did not make it real pretty because the quality of the home is not the best. Now, let's say the one I just got and it's renting at $1,900 a month, that's exact opposite end of the spectrum. I did not have to do the kitchen because it's still in perfect condition. But if I did, I would look at putting granite in there. So it really kind of goes on what level rehab are you going to have your end product on. The cheaper one, the materials are cheaper. Does it break a little bit more often? Maybe. Depends on who you put in there. I think the resident that we place in there has a larger effect on it than the home. But if we have to do maintenance on it, the materials are usually cheaper. You have to find the right handyman that can work on the older one, which it's not difficult. You just have to find someone that's not going to go and do the perfect end result because they charge a little bit more. The other end, if I'm charging $1,900 a month, I got to have a good finished product. So it's going to depend on the home itself.
Yeah, great way to answer that. Then we had someone asking regarding they have fixed income tenants that can't afford new rental rates. How would you potentially deal with something like that? With regard to having someone where, maybe you have someone that, you don't think you can effectively raise the rents on, but they've been good tenants. I know it's probably kind of a
Oof.
awkward one to tread on how you would do that, and it's probably going to be answered 10 different ways by 10 different people.
Yeah, this is a difficult problem I think we have in America in the affordable housing space because we're having less and less and less affordable housing. And I think that it's an actual problem. We go into our relationship with everyone that your rent is going up every single month. Sorry, every single year, not month. Every single year. It's going to go up. We tell them it's not going to go up more than 10% a year. We'll never raise it more than that. But it's going to go up. Why? Because our insurance and taxes raise every single year. I'll tell you, in the past, when I wasn't as good of a housing provider, I didn't raise them. And then when you really dig into your numbers, you start realizing after 10 years, you're losing money. I found some properties that were actually losing money. They were cash flowing at one point, and then they started losing money because I never raised anything. And our maintenance costs have gone up, our handyman, our supplies, our taxes. All my taxes went up 10% exactly on every property, the property taxes this year. So I set the expectations from the very beginning. It's difficult. That is one reason. So that older one that I showed that had most of its siding, I didn't fix that up to be perfect. So it's going to collect lower rent. So that is a home for someone that is on a fixed income that's willing to maybe do some work to make the home pretty in exchange for lower rent. I mean, that's a whole nother topic, like you said, Alex, but that's I'll say, solution for it. It's a tough solution that people are in right now, or it's a tough problem.
Yeah, and I would say from my perspective is that, just be honest with the people and try to find a workable solution. I think probably one of the bigger issues we have, at least in housing right now, is, and I always tread lightly when I say, use the word greed or anything. I think people can be a little bit overly optimistic when they see what other people are getting from rents, and it kind of causes a bit of a frenzy. But looking at it from the perspective of trying to find a workable solution for your tenant that you have in there and yourself as the property owner. You can make money and they can still afford to live there. But figuring out, is it worth your time investment capital to find someone new while removing them to maybe have, someone that's maybe paying, more, but, what did you put in capital to get that new person in there versus, steady, reliable income that maybe you just get a little bit less out of. So, there's a lot of different
Exactly.
ways to look at it, and it's always hard, and especially with, looking at people, maybe especially talking about fixed income people or when you talk about fixed income, that's going to be older people, people on disability and things like that. So it's especially tough, when you factor in, kind of a moral component to, figuring this stuff out too. It's tough, and there's probably no right, ready, easy answer to that. But those are some probably good places to start.
I'll throw another real quick last thought on that is, I mean, if that's your plan that you just don't want to raise it, then you need to go in to the investment with that thought. You need to buy it such a good number that you have such a large profit that you can go maybe a decade with never raising. So predict, my tax is going to go up, my insurance, everything's going to go up. Am I able to still afford this property in 10 years of never raising their rent? Because if you're losing money on it, you're hurting that person just as much, because now you might lose the property. So
Yeah,
they can still
exactly.
get hurt.
Or in other ways, adjust your investing strategy instead of being the homeowner, maybe looking at doing something. And you always have to check, and I always preface this statement by checking with any type of applicable laws in your area, but doing something where maybe it's you hold a carryback note on the property where it
Yeah.
fixes their income rate and it gives them the ability to have equity in the property, and then you don't have to deal with maintenance, everything else like that. But that's a whole different investment strategy, and
Yeah, that's a great point.
that's getting into holding paper versus holding the property, and it has to be right for you. But there are options out there, and that's what one of the big beauties of real estate, in my opinion, is that it's not just you buy a stock and you're like, all right, let's hope this goes up. You can buy a piece of property, and if you first stab at owning it, let's say renting it doesn't work out, let's say you move, you still like the property, you think it's got good cash flow, owner finance the thing to someone, then let them deal with the maintenance and insurance, still back your investment with real estate and still have cash flow coming in. There's a million different ways to look at a single piece of real estate and to ways to make money on it. So,
And
that's
Alex, that's why people should be on these webinars every time you have them, so that they can learn all of these strategies. They all work for mobile homes, and
yeah,
you learn these every time. You're like, oh, I can, maybe I need to research more holding paper on a mobile home. They all work. That's why it's not just come to one webinar and you learned it all. You have to keep coming back over and over and over to keep learning the newest thing and another thing you forgot about.
yeah, exactly. And I'll, we're getting up on time, but one of the cooler stories, one of the cooler case studies I've ever seen with one of the most amounts of money I've ever seen someone make on, in an IRA that I've ever done was done on mobile homes. The gentleman had purchased a small piece of property up in northwest, or northwest Georgia near, I'm trying to think of the lake. Livonia, I want to say, up north of Atlanta, and essentially he bought about it was about like I think 5 or 6 acres, and had 9 pads that were platted on the property, and he had gone, and I mean these were big. I think they almost were almost a quarter acre each with each one of these mobile homes on them, all built back in the 60s, little kind of small trailer park. Bought it in his IRA. I think he paid like 150 all in for it. Paid to have it remapped, replatted, and turned the 9 pads, and he divided up by 3. So now he had 27 spaces for mobile homes. And he was lucky enough that it was on city sewer. So he didn't have to redo a whole septic system or anything like that. He'd pay to have old mobile homes brought in, knew someone that did mobile home transportation, brought them in, put them in, would then in turn rent them out to the tenants. They'd bring them in, they started renting them out, sold it to them on retail installment contracts, would hold the paper, do carryback notes on them, and then they would own the trailer, but he would still be making lot rent fees on it. So he'd be kind of, doubling up on his cash flow on that. And then also the foreclosure process, if they didn't pay with retail installment in Georgia, is a lot easier than doing like full foreclosure on like tangible real estate. And he just kept plugging away at it and turned $100,000 IRA into, I think, probably past, well into the millions now of
Love
cash.
it.
Yes, it's really cool. Something I never would have thought of beginning my career in this, and it's turned out really well. So with that said, I know we're kind of getting past on our time. With that said, hey, Adrian, thank you very much for joining us today. This will be up as a recorded webinar on our YouTube channel. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly right here, or Adrian, I'll let you give a quick plug on your contact information as well.
Yeah, my contact's on that website, the Adrian S. 360.com. And I think I may have forgotten to mention that you are a sponsor of the class. So when you come to class, the coffee's on Advanta IRA. They're paying for the
Exactly.
coffee. So
We've
you get
bought a
to
lot
thank
of
them.
coffee over our career, and we're happy to do it for stuff like this. So with that said, I'll go ahead and end it up here. Thanks again, Adrian, for being on with us today, and everyone
Thank
else
you.
for taking time out of their day to be a part of this webinar. I'll let you all get back to your day. Thanks.